I'm going to be asking questions of you guys that I think that my viewers would want to know.
So before you do talk about that, I do want you to know that I do resonate with those questions, but they were more for my karmic. And I had this realization through, because he ghosted me nonstop, like constantly. And that's the reason why I was bringing up the Vedic astrology. It's hard to text about all of this stuff.
So
but,
do you mean that you guys never went through a separation period?
No, we never met until 3 weeks ago today.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys just...
And we already have a business going, and we're going to be getting married. And it's like everything I built was for two. And
okay, all right. Okay, wait. Let me just tell you.
Okay.
Here's how I think it goes. Here's my, this is what I've been tapping into recently. Everybody thinks they have like that one twin flame, right?
Yes.
But I believe after having gone through probably 5 twin flames, I don't believe in multiple twin flames, but I have had 5 similar experiences that were very like, like just cookie cutter, right?
Yes.
And then I started to really feel into it because I'm writing a book and I really want to help people. And I figured out that I think the twin flame is actually an energy and it's an orb.
Yes.
Okay.
Just like animals can change. Thank you. Just like animals can. Just like animals can, they go from body to body to body to body, and it's no big deal kind of thing. I think that what happens is it goes toward the first person that is wanting to love you in that moment. If they can't hack it, or they practice free will and they're like, no, I'm not doing it. You're a psychic and I'm a Christian and my family would ostracize me, and they freak out and they close the door on it. Or you're just too insecure or scared or whatever it is and you get all scared off. Then what happens is it goes to the next person that's naturally wanting to love you. And on the line it goes until somebody is mature enough to grab it and go. Like they get to this level where they're just like, you know what?
In alignment.
They're in alignment. And the energy settles in with this person. So I've just had it happen where it just kind of drops down in as your truth. And I consider a false twin flame to be just somebody who is like more abusive, narcissistic, sociopath, psychopath, crazy people.
And that was our karmics.
Yeah.
And they're Justine and Justin, and they were both exactly that.
Well, karmics,
or not, I don't know. Yeah, but
well, karmics are very, very similar. Exactly. Karmics are super similar, I think. Maybe they're the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that just with that with the actual twin flame, there's just this clicking that happens. That's boom. And
exactly.
Normal people in the twin flame dynamic, though, they have the runner chaser dynamic happen. But here's the other thing that I say all the time is if you meet at a stage or a maturity level where you guys are just not able to take personal responsibility, it has no sticking power. Then you can struggle for years for both of you to get mature enough to get to the point where you guys are doing. But I think what's happened in your guys' case is you guys have just met at that point here. You didn't meet before that point. You met here.
Correct.
That's exactly. Like, boom. Like it's just going to happen for you.
Yes.
So.
You're right.
That's exactly it, Amy. I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, we've both been putting in the work. I've been putting in the work separately through, like you talked about, like Qigong. That was my focus point. And the Eastern astrology. And then she was also developing Kundalini
yoga, and Vedic astrology is what we both have in common, which we wanted to be our core. It was in my list exactly. He's preceded the list actually, and then some. Like you have said that God would give me something better, and then also when you speak about it and just like looking at the map, that person Justin and we were very compatible. It was actually very like. Astrologers would look at our charts and say that we were the most compatible they'd ever seen. Well, him and I score 1 point higher.
the really cool thing, if we want to look into it as with the astrology, it's the Jupiter placement and the moon placement that you're having the connection with, and basically being each other's teachers and rising at the same pace.
Okay, so let
Jupiter, when you break it down as an archetype, he's like the guru, he's the teacher. He's
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so let's just back up a minute.
Sure,
I know,
sure. We're telling you, sorry, but I just want you to
Okay.
know where we're
No,
at.
I mean, okay. So for those watching right now, I wanted to introduce Naomi and Taylor. Naomi contacted me as that she had found her twin flame, and that they had their relationship had just accelerated very quickly. And yeah, I'll tell you, but it supports that that theory I was just talking about. So here we are with one of those couples that just reached each other at the right maturity level, at the right point in their journey, where they were both ready. They were both mature enough to handle this kind of intensity.
Right. That's for. Oh wow. Yeah. That's exactly how we sum it up.
How do you guys how can you tell that it's different without looking at the chart, at the Vedic astrology chart and all that? How did you guys know or recognize that it was something different than what you'd had before with other people?
I would like, actually, I want him to lead because he's got a really beautiful, I have something too to share, but he does have something that's like really.
Well, the first initial thing I would have to say that's coming to mind right away would be there's always been this imprint in my auric field, I guess I could say, that I recognize that I was always searching for in my relationships. And I could say a lot about this astrology wise, but I'm not going to go down that.
Well, how does somebody, like the normal person watching this has no clue what that means? So what?
Correct.
How do you sense that there's some kind of a hole in your auric field?
Yeah, it's almost like an imprint, like that perfect, we could say slipper, perfect glove imprint.
Puzzle piece,
exactly.
He noticed it on our second date, basically immediately. I was, it was, the first date, we knew already there was something. And I saw him, like, anyway, keep that.
So, I guess the really interesting thing is there are a lot of little traits that she carries that could be resembled in my past relationships, whether it's a characteristic or a physicality. So I would say everything leading up to this relationship was, little glimpses here and there, but nothing really fit that puzzle piece. So when we finally started engaging, then I realized, wow, this is that feeling that I've really been looking for. And it's a very interesting feeling. But it's a fit.
He says it's like an imprint right here on his chest.
Yeah,
he just feels it every time I'm around him.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And then we're both backstory quickly. We have both been on this journey our whole lives, ever since I was about 5 years old and he was thinking about the same age. We've always known that we had each other. And I get really emotional when I talk about this. But
I was too.
it's that I've been talking to the stars since I was a little kid. And I just knew he was there, and I've been on this journey. And then I had a near-death experience in like 10, 11 years ago. And after that happened, I'll reveal that, my children came to me. And I was almost dying, and they came to me and they said, "You have to live for us." And as that happened, I opened my eyes and I was rescued. And I'll never forget what those children looked like. And then a week later, after that near-death experience, I saw him. He came to me in our probably the most recent past life, and he looked down at me and said, you come find me and I'll come find you. And that was, again, like 11 years ago. And anyway, it's just been like literally, I swear to God, I just feel like I've been dating everybody until I could find him, it seems. And then I actually stopped for 2 years. I've been like celibate and like doing that
Which
part
I
of
had
the practice.
done that also for a few years.
And really calling him in. But when he came in, I immediately, let me just tell you this, how I knew I'd never felt grounded in my whole life, it feels like, as the divine feminine. I'm always flying around, and
that was something that I noticed
and
right
he
away.
just knew to ground me. That was like on our first date.
Yeah. And one more thing about the children. My uncle, I was working on a ranch, and I was there alone for, I was there for about 3 months. And I would go into my meditations, working on the home, and then going into meditation. And during one of the meditations, there is a hill, and there were 2 children running down the hill, and they came into
They're
my
the same
arms.
kids.
And it's so there's a few stories like that that are syncing up between us.
A lot more than a
Wow.
few. There's a lot of stories. It's like we still, like, every day I look at him and it's just mind-boggling that he's here. Like, it just, it's like it, and it feels, that's the thing too, it's an energy thing.
We can feel each other's energy.
Yeah, we've practiced. We've messed around with our chakras and see if I can feel. Yesterday we did it.
We were practicing, eyes closed, and
I said that's the solar plexus chakra. And then, anyway.
We're veering off topic,
but it's a it's a definite like feeling too. It comes down to that. It's very deep, very deep soul connection. It's like hard to describe. But the synchronicities, I think, and then. Really cool backstory again was the fact that I left everything behind 2 years ago. I had this Kundalini awakening in September 23rd, 2017. And basically I time traveled, and they consider it like the 1,000 petal lotus flower opening in your crown chakra. Is what I've done with the studies now to resonate. But it spoke to me clearly, and it said, move to Nevada City, you're gonna fall in love there and have your babies there.
Wow.
And I had just gotten a job offer to be I could have been a famous haircutting specialist at this very moment and made lots of money. But I listened to God, and the universe said to me, because what had happened is those relationships I'd had spiritually with the children and then the masculine that I only had, I'd only seen them in the 5-dimensional realms, and they meant everything to me. They saved my life at one point. And so it was almost like I'd been waiting for that call. And when it came, I listened. And I mean, I've been through some treacherous waters since I've gone on this journey. I don't recommend this to the faint of heart. Yeah, this journey is like, you got to be really on point if you want this.
Especially once you start meeting, because everything starts happening very fast.
Oh my God,
Stuff starts coming up, and that's been the coolest
Like
point.
what?
Past relationship stuff that I suppose I haven't healed yet, where
Okay.
that's what I can relate to. Oh, I see this in her. She's bringing this out in me. Okay. Her being strong in her power is being able to allow me to release these, whatever we want to call it.
As you would talk about, Amy, actually, and a lot of readers, they talk about how the feminine heals first so that they can hold space for the masculine. And it is exactly like that.
Absolutely.
It's to a T. I came in and I have had everything built for 2. And it was as though like I just was it. And I'd been holding space.
Thank you.
And actually it knocked me out for the last, so Thursday and Friday I had to be in bed for a day and a half because I'd been working so hard on helping him get to this place. He's back where he needs to be.
Exactly.
He's where he's at, but it is a lot of that, you know, so it's the healing it begun immediately.
Well, can you give like a direct example of something that he got triggered on and how you guys were able to
well,
okay. So let's see an example.
I appreciate your vulnerability.
This is like our whole lives are going to be like this. We're practicing.
Well, yeah, there was a relationship that I had gotten into, one that she reminds me the most, and I'm going to keep her name confidential. I feel like that's out of respect. And you know, during that relationship, I was in my awakening stage, and that woman actually engaged that process. She was, you know, she was very hard on me at first, you know, which I can absolutely respect now. But you know, I was joining the carpenters union, learning to build, doing all that. But she was always very hard on me. And at the time I wasn't being open and being vulnerable. And, you know, she was dealing with a lot of stuff also, but, you know, I don't want to go too deep. I'm trying to be, you know, blunt here, but, I would say that through that relationship, she brought it out because a tendency, I mean, there's a lot of it in her lips. If I may say, her lips is what brings it out the most, reminding me in her persona, her attitude at times, her strength. And that has allowed me to go
we get lost
to heal that to heal that the pain, because I had always felt like I was not there enough for her. You know, not
the prior person.
I'm sorry.
You weren't there enough for the prior person, or
yeah, the prior person.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, this is just a for example. You know, off the top of my head, it's just the first thing that I thought of.
I'll give you one, for instance, and it was mine. For like, let's just go into a really strong one very quickly. It was the first weekend we had together, and a big healing thing was, I'll name two, but for me there was one where so we're going to be building a community with his uncle, and I just barely met him, but I hadn't met him at the time, and it's like a very interesting past life thing that he helped me heal actually, but then it also healed him to see that, because we were able to then realize some things. But I was almost like immediately not upset with his uncle, but like there was something about his uncle. Like I had this fear that his uncle was going to take him from me. And we went into it like that and regressed and realized that his uncle probably in at least 2 or 3 past lives has taken him to some kind of war. And I have lost him. At least 2 or 3 times. And I was like sobbing and like crying, and we were able to like come out of that and heal that wound. And so he assured me he wasn't going to be taken from me this life. And then another one was like that weekend.
Wait a minute. How did that conversation happen? So you were getting upset with the uncle, and he could tell that you were upset with the uncle.
Yes.
Stepped aside, and then you said what? Like, how did that conversation go?
Okay. So let's go back. Starting to set up this community, my uncle is, I guess he's not ready to make this transition yet. He still has some stuff to set up, and we are looking to do it correctly and properly. So we're taking our time doing this. So he doesn't really want Naomi to come around right now, and he's being sort of, I guess,
it seems to be secretive a little.
Yeah.
And I'm a psychic, so I can see right through it, and it just kind of is like, you know,
Yes.
it toys with me a little bit. And he's very supportive. He was the first person that Taylor told about this. They already like could tell and know that we were gonna get married. Like,
yes, and they're supportive.
But it was kind of just the triggering because he's being very like not open and receiving to me to come to the land because he's doing some clearing there, which makes sense because it's going to be a place of healing. But basically, it triggered me. It's very interesting. And I don't know. And it was weird because it was like, why is it triggering me? Because I don't even know this guy. But I have some past life with this man, you know, and that's where then we went into it. And it was basically Taylor just knew he needed to heal it for me, you know, and that's it. It was just like, he was like, let's just do some healing here.
Which we've just been holding space. Like if something comes up, it's like, okay, we work through it, cry it out, you know, and allow it to heal. And it seems as though the process of it is very quick and we're able to move through things very quickly.
Let me give you another example for him. Let's say this example about like, you know, within the first week, he was being psychically attacked a lot, you know, because he's opening. And so a lot of the, you know, you could call them entities or whatever, they're coming at him really harsh. There's a lot of shadow work is coming up for him. So I was every day from the moment I met him was awoke at 3 something in the morning. And I then would immediately go into some kind of meditation of like healing him, distance healing. And it was a lot of distance healing and just like these major, like I was like a warrior. I was being like a warrior and, you know, immersing him in the golden white light, the blue etheric light, like, the, you know, all of that light constantly and doing all this chakra work on him. I mean, even like the week after we met, we had this amazing experience at the Yuba, and we meditate already. We've been meditating since we met each other.
Which was when 3 weeks ago, you said?
Yes. I know. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, like
it is incredible.
But like one of the big healing ones was like we found ourselves on this mountainside above the Yuba River. And I mean, I was just prompted by the divine.
Yeah, this is a very powerful.
Yeah, and the sun was coming in. I don't know. It's just this is all source coming through is all this is. You know, I am just being a channel. And we decided to sit in the sun. And then it just proceeded into this whole emotional freedom technique, the EFT tapping session. I just tapped him and
my whole body started lighting up.
Yeah, it was opening him.
Everything. You know, my throat chakra has been very closed off.
He has like thyroid, actually. He had like a thyroid, like total divine masculine throat problems, like throat like chakra problems.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been just working through it, and to be at the state that we met at, and like you said, only 3 weeks. I'm literally just breakthrough after breakthrough, and it's a lot of work. Like we've literally been putting in work and trying to get to know each other on deeper levels. So it's been just nothing but.
We have the same like childhood experiences. Our fathers are very much the same person. My father has passed, but. Yeah. It's very, you know, but it's very interesting. Everything that I don't have, he has, and vice versa. And like, it's just this very, I mean, like the same traumatic kind of experiences that we've gone through. Yeah. Anyway, but it's like this big thing about, like a big one too. Another one for me, what I've helped him with is that, the divine masculine has a lot of, like they have a lot of codependent people around them. And that's him. Yeah, he has been this mother to everybody, it seems, and trying to like heal his whole family. And he started to break free, but he kept getting sucked back in. And as soon as I came into the picture, he's moved up here already.
Yeah.
He just moved up here already on Tuesday. And like exciting. Left his no offense on the family, we love them.
Absolutely.
They're amazing people, but there's a lot of healing and they really rely upon him for that. And immediately I come in, I meet the family and the dad's already like, can you heal this?
Yeah.
Like, you
It's
know,
great.
it's very interesting codependent behaviors that the masculine has to go through, because he's and I'm able to help him with that too, you know, like I was able to, it's just basically a resonance of like being, I said to him, I go, oh my God, it was like one of the first that first weekend, I was like, I'm not crazy.
Right.
You know, like that was a big one. It
That was a
really
big
was
one.
huge. Like it was because it's like our whole lives, and I'll speak for both of us, we have always felt
Oh,
like, and I have been treated differently. I've always been kind of like put on a pedestal, or, you know, people either worship me or they think I'm the worst thing in the world, you know? And so it's like, but there's like this weird thing, you know, like and it feels very, you know, odd. Like I'm so isolated, and yet he was the same person, you know, he's always been meditating since he was a child, and like, you know, more connected with like source than anything else, and always being psychic and like
yes.
having this mediumship qualities that we have, and
And
like,
breaking through and learning more about, I mean, the astrology, that was my huge breakthrough. And it's like, oh, okay, there's something here. You know, I had a reading myself, and I was told, you know, a few other career opportunities, but being the healer and practicing Ayurveda and things like that was number one. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go for number one. And ever since there, it's been about 6 or 7 years, I've just been immersing myself in that, studying, understanding the science, and then starting Qigong. And that's when my energy centers and really started to open up, meditation, going deeper, allowing myself to be whole, I guess, to reflect that, find that reflection. So that's how it happened. Go
How
ahead.
did you guys even meet?
so this is the funniest part. I've been very like hesitant to wanting to move past this person, this karmic, right? Because it was like I totally gave it to God, and every time I would get the same answer, you know. And I then started to really go inward with all of that for a long time. Like I did a lot of healing work about this karmic for so long. And anyway, I knew I needed to start dating, and I asked God where I should start dating. How do I do this? And it spoke to me, and it said Tinder.
And I never thought I would be on there either.
Yeah.
So it's like the weirdest thing. Something just told me, okay, just try this, whatever.
Same, because I mean, I asked specifically too, because I have friends that do all these other apps, right? And I was like, well, which app do I use? Right. There's so many dating apps.
But I was very specific. I feel like this is important to say. I was very specific on there, what I was looking for, you know, spiritual.
I didn't put anything other than the science of light.
Right, science of light.
Which only would translate into Vedic astrology, which the title Jyotish means science of light. And his said to light up a room with him.
Correct. So
he wanted somebody to light up a room with him.
Subtle hints, you know. So I don't know. It's a 50-50 thing on that app. Whatever. It's deleted now. I just deleted it once I.
Well, we deleted it, right? Yeah, we both deleted it. Like that same day, we both deleted it.
Okay. So yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, we met, and it was 3 weeks ago yesterday when we first started talking, and.
It feels like a lifetime already.
Well, yeah, lots of lifetimes actually.
Yeah,
but it was very interesting because he started to, you know, he was the one that asked me if I was a Vedic astrologer.
Yeah.
Or studied Eastern astrology, and I just like jaw dropped because I was like, nobody knows this. Like, it's really a very rare study. Maybe I don't know how many people, but I don't even know. Like, I know like
not many
20 people that study it.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's always been very something that's always been high on my list, you know. So finding someone that was
because it's like the same spirituality. It's like the core to our spirituality, and we both have that. But anyway, it was that simple. It was just like I was actually messaging a guy right before we were messaging each other, and he also messaged me first too. Tinder's weird. Guys are weird, man. They're like, they're funny, but
we should move on.
no, it's good because it's like we were both like on a ranch that same day.
Oh, on the ranch, yeah, that was.
We were both on the ranch on the same day, texting each other, doing the same exact thing. We were both around horses.
Wow.
We were both working with horses that day on a ranch.
Yeah.
So it was like this you know what I mean? Immediately it was like, there's all those synchronicities that God was like, here, listen, pay attention. And it was like very loud. And we then continued to text that night, and he started to ask me all these questions about, you know, Vedic astrology. And I was seriously like, I was harsh on him. I was like, nope.
Yeah, not giving me
I was
any
like,
information.
Nope.
And I was like, okay, that's fine.
And then he asked me on a date for that night, and then we ended up going the next day, which was great. And as soon as I walked in to that restaurant, well, first of all, you could feel it energetically first, you know.
Energetically, also,
before we met,
it's almost like a vortex. It's like a very nice atmosphere that we create around us. It's
like you say that the only two people exist in the world. That's this.
And people have already started to like gather towards us and just
they approach us on our first date.
Yeah.
The first date. So I'm gonna bring it back. Well, but I walk into the room, you know, and he's waiting for me, and this masculine, he stood as though he was my king. You know, He stood up and he greeted me, you know, in that way. Immediately I was respected, you know.
Wow.
And just he knows the divine feminine, and when he would see her, I guess. And then the grounding thing came up with the first date, and then we then decided to go to get some tea. And this is when you really learn about who you are, because I've been single in this town for 2 years, you know. And I show up at a local spot where I know a lot of people, and that's when people started rushing us, and they were him and telling him about how amazing I am. Like they were just coming at him so. Like, I was like,
wow.
Whoa.
You know, I'm like, I was sort of used to it already because I grew up in like the East Bay and like the city and stuff. So I'm used to like that camaraderie, but I guess it was just
on the first date though, you know, like there was people like coming up to him being like,
I don't know,
you guys are blah 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 blah, you know, just like we're immediately like shining so bright.
Yeah, it was cool.
And that's the really beautiful part about this type of love, is it is intended to heal loves. Correct. You know, like for all the loves. It's that lineage from the beginning of time to help to understand that it like really, that this can exist, because every time we do go into public, we captivate somebody, and then somebody says something to us with the biggest smile on their face. You know, we affect their hearts, and we open hearts. And
hugging my mom just yesterday, she's also going through a lot of stuff and healing also. And she just breaks down in tears. It's just like, wow, you guys.
So, and those are the synchronicities. Those are the cool synchronicities. Like, we were actually in a vortex yesterday at the grocery store wanting to go get a drink.
Oh, yeah.
We decided to talk for 40 minutes before we go into this grocery store.
It's a great
And we
feeling.
happened to run into his mother, which she had problems with cashing her check, and we were able to give her some money. And it was like, oh, well, that's why we were here 40 minutes later.
So just being in trust, being in that receiving, being in unconditional love. And, you know, that's the main point where I want to really emphasize, you know, that's very important.
And there's like so many synchronicities.
And there's also that these true love relationships, they love working together. And they want to get married right away.
Absolutely.
You guys have followed that pattern.
Yeah, he asked my mom the first week, week number one, week one. He asked my mom if I could have my hand in marriage, and that look on her face, though, because my mother knows me very well, and she always considers me her greatest teacher, you know. And she was very calm and collected, and she just asked him a bunch of questions, and then she was like, through that, eventually she was just like, of course you can have my blessing. She was flabbergasted or you know, just even perplexed maybe that my mother, I don't know, because she knows the work I've been going through and that I do.
Same with my mom. I mean, she's always been, she knows everything about me, and she's always been my number one supporter. So she actually guessed. We went on a walk with
Oh,
her,
yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, so when are you guys getting married?"
We didn't even tell her, she knew. Anyway, there's a lot, like, you know, I'm a writer, I'm a poet actually, and
Very talented.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's like
Um,
really interesting because it's like there's just manifestation. Let's just say
Well-
manifestation, and I truly 100 times over manifested him
with everything that she writes down.
and yes, and how like it just is mind blowing how it fits this. He fits that, you know. I mean, even just
and I just want to say it's astrologically, it's the map. You know what I mean? We can say, okay, yes, it's all a feeling, but when we can break it down to the science also, I'm gonna have to stand behind that.
that's a divine masculine way of looking at it, though.
Yeah,
you know?
that's so true.
So true.
Well,
He's
but
so
still,
grounded. You
but
know, he
still.
has to be like very,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Exactly. He has to be very, like, it's something I wouldn't even, I study this stuff and I don't even need that, but it's like
one thing though, with her, she was the only person that I did not even care to see your chart. So with every other person, I'm like, okay, I need to see your chart, I need to see it. But
I would do the same
I don't
actually with
wanna
all
know.
the guys.
and I did not even care. I was like, whatever. Like, so yeah. This is fun. I'm having fun. Thank you.
But what about this business you guys are doing?
Okay. I have a mission statement I could read if you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay. But basically, let's just say like I was, and this is
Yeah,
really
show us your
cool.
shirts.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Life architecture.
He got it made.
I pressed this one.
Oh yeah, he like made my shirt.
That's awesome.
This is really cool. I'll start here. Let me grab this. So 2 years ago, when I had just begun this journey, and I'm telling you, Amy, I didn't know a soul in this town. I had no idea other than I had to come here. 2 suitcases and a dream.
Sounds like me.
Yes, it is. And so anyway, I ended up having to couch surf on this like couch surfing app when I was really just hustling where to live and what to like do, you know, and anyway, I was in a place where there was some, you know, I had a lot of incidences for the first couple months of some intense trauma. I would say karma. It was karma that I had to work through. And so I hit this place where I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I was so beat down, and it's because I needed to understand my gifts too. Now I understand that. But back then I didn't really understand. So I was looking for a place to rest basically. And I had this backup plan, which was a great Aunt Sandra in the East Bay. You know, I hadn't seen her since I was 14 years old, and I just knew I needed to go rest there. And I got there, and it was that maybe like a day later, I then had the vision of life architecture. It came to me in a dream. And that's the really cool synchronicity, is that it was 20 minutes away from where he was. And I knew when I was there, I said, there's just something about the East Bay. And I didn't know what it was. And then lo and behold, he's from there. But it was something maybe to do with our energies. And it came together, and I was then able to, you know, and so then here's this mission statement. And
while she's setting that up, I also have one more thing to say. After my breakup, the next day, I went and had a tarot reading, and which I have on recording still. And everything in there is leading up to this point, where it's me moving here and finding someone and reciprocating that.
The Queen of Wands, she was talking about.
Exactly. I'm still fairly new at tarot, so you know I can't. Yeah, but I have it recorded. It's really cool. So you know,
it is really cool.
If that's ever in need, I have that information also.
It's always so interesting. So, anyway, so I have been working on this, and this is a work in progress. And I have actually, and I'll say we now. I'm going to say we. So we have actually built this as, the only thing you can count on in life is change. They call it impermanence, and we're ever evolving. And so this is this business that, I want to help the world, and I want it to evolve everywhere we go. So at the moment, we're working on getting our licensing with Kundalini and our Vedic astrology licensing, or at least certifications. I guess it's not licensing, but anyway, here it is. I'll read this. Life architecture. We aim for global consciousness. We come to you. House call services. We want to enter your home and teach you how to use what you already have. My experience has shown me that most people already have a multiple of everything. We teach and educate you about your disconnect and conditioning that has been caused by the colonized world, and the effect of this creates the separation of your body and soul. We expose your untruths. We remind you that all the love you need you can find within your own heart. We help you integrate the body with the soul and show you the only way to truly embody yourself is to know body and soul, they are but one. You cannot have one without the other. We help you understand the separation of body and soul, because to know the difference between them will help your soul enter your body. Let's train your ego. I say that because the ego is the glue that holds the soul within the body. We show you your true full potential, your best self. Know your aim should be for the cosmos, and we are truly capable of being the Messiah. We are adaptable for whatever human form that is placed in front of us. Every body is as unique as a snowflake that falls from the sky. And not one tool is going to be for the same for any one of us. There are two manifestations of every archetype, two sides to a coin in everything. We organize your home for you, help you rid you of your junk, untruths, and conditioning. We want to simplify your life by speaking your truths aloud. We clean up your finances. We place the mirror in front of you, and literally and figuratively, and show you your truth in all aspects of your life. Ghostbusters theme song plays now.
Should have had that ready.
You should have that ready. We teach you how to self-care with grooming, yoga, meditation through the studies of Kundalini and Vedic astrology. And then, did you know you are actually what you eat, and you are 65% water? We teach you about your water consumption and how tap water isn't particularly safe. We show you how to eat, cook, etc. We take back the saying, love conquers all, and help you realize that self-love conquers all before love can conquer anything. We show you how your body responds best to the simple pleasures. We show you how to stop allowing everyone and everything to tell us what to do for our bodies. And we teach you moderation, because doctors do serve a purpose. And we are only soul connected to this one singular body. And remember what the Dalai Lama said, religion is obsolete, and we need to stop externalizing our love for God, because we in fact are God. Anyway, that's a little bit of life architecture.
Beautiful.
We need to get the charger.
Yeah, we need our battery's running low. We're going to charge the battery.
But hold on, just leave it there.
Okay.
So I'm curious, Taylor, what do you do in this business?
Okay, so this is...
Let me charge this really quick.
All right.
Where's
Okay,
that go?
well, I guess the first thing that I can say is during my whole, this whole process, yeah, I'm screwing the table. Hold on. Sorry about this, guys.
That's all right.
So I've basically just been working overtime with everything I do with my spiritual development practices. So I am a carpenter by trade, and tile, things like that. And then all of my practices have been secondary. So oh right,
We got you back.
Sorry.
It's okay. So,
all right.
but Taylor's also working on that business with you?
Yes,
Yeah.
It's built for two.
So
Can I say this? It's basically
Sure.
just like a hustle in a sense. Not really, but like,
wait.
no, it's not like that. It's like like we both have multifaceted abilities, and we are able to like conquer everything with everybody, and it's just kind of capturing
awesome.
the essence of that. And so, you know, it's together. Like I actually have a
Yeah.
client already that we're working with, and he's not, I'm getting paid for this right now, but it's something that, you know, my money's his now, but he's already been, I've already asked the client when we're ready to have him come in and do this clearing with me. And he's already working with this client with us. Like the other day I was with him holding space and the client was telling me a lot of things. And I said, do you mind if I call Taylor? I would like him to say a prayer right now. And I called him, and immediately he speaks to the client and tells the client that, you know, whatever was needed to be said at that moment, and it made complete sense to this person. And then he then said a blessing for this client. And the next day, because I was out of working for about 2 days, Thursday and Friday, and I had to let the client know that I couldn't do any, I said, I can't do any healing work right now. I gotta take my time. And he just said to me when I texted him that day, he goes, that's fine. He goes, whatever Taylor said to me yesterday is still with me today. And
That's awesome.
so it's like we're already working as a team like that, in every capacity. The first thing that we really kind of want to work with, I would say, is the things that we don't need certification in, which is the mediumship and the psychic abilities. But
Yeah. So with that being said, doing the starting out with that. But that's why I backed up. I'm still currently doing, the construction part and being the carpenter. But before we had met, my uncle and I were going to develop the this spiritual healing community to allow people to come in and, perform Reiki and other, sciences, implement other sciences. So now that she's here, I'm, shifting all of that into also a team unit. So everything that I have already been developing within myself, initially I was coming up here to go to school for Ayurveda, become Reiki certified. My mediumship has always been something I've been developing. Those are the sciences that I'm going to start incorporating into now.
With the same sciences that I'm doing too.
Life architecture. So for her to have already developed and allowing me, which I'm very grateful for, thank you so much. Like, she's put in so much work, and like, she's so talented. It's a blessing. For her to like have set this up already for us, for me, and what she's already been studying now. So we're going to start studying together
with the same teacher.
Oh,
To get
cool.
certified.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to eventually start doing. So whenever this space opens for me to start working with her, then I will start incorporating that.
Awesome.
Office building already. Uncle, I'm going to just say our uncle. He's already wanting us to start doing, social media presence. And I've already been wanting to do this, but I've not had the support. It's been, just me and this one woman show.
Yeah. So
and so now the support's here, and it's like I'm able to now manage things outside of myself. I've been writing them down. It's like certain, like a YouTube channel probably, or something with like a day, like something to do with the archetype of that day, like Moon Day, Monday, and Mars Day, Tuesday,
Awesome.
like something to, and like just kind of like get ourselves out there. His uncle he's like so excited. He just wants to get us on camera. He's just like, you two together.
Well, when you guys get married?
We everything's falling into place. I just got a job up here, so
which was like my client got him a job.
Yeah.
Cool.
So right now I'm
like a day job.
Right. so yeah, we're making our steps to, getting the ring and figuring out where I want to do this. I've always had an imprint here. So,
The ceremony will be September 21st, probably in Mendocino. His aunt wants to take care of this for us, which is amazing.
Nice.
Coast of Mendocino. That's a very special day. My parents' anniversary date, and my father passed away 5 years ago, and they were engaged 2 weeks after knowing each other. So
Wow.
it's very, yes, it's a very special date, and I wanted to defy it for my mother because she lost the love of her life, and it's really warmed her heart when she heard that news. But we plan to have our own ceremony together alone before that. And he wants to make it right. We're actually still celibate. It's really difficult. But we'd like to be married.
Why?
I know, really. It's because we really want to lead by example. I know, right? It's probably because
it's important.
It's our past. It's my past coming up, and it's a commitment I made to myself. And I vowed that I would only ever sleep with my husband ever again. And I really want to do that. Like, I want to be able to.
Wait. You're not going to have sex until you're married?
Yes. Which we're going to go alone. We're going to go alone.
Yeah.
I know. She's so great.
It's awesome.
We're like a little weird like that. Yeah. We're very strong Martians.
That's so old-fashioned and so sweet.
Thank you.
I was inspired actually. So this all began with my best friend. She was my biggest example. Was the wedding weekend where I had that awakening. And she was my biggest example. She was 28 and I was definitely the exact opposite of that woman at that time in my life, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good for me. I had allowed men to, I amused all the men, and it sucked the life out of me. And now that I understand the science behind sleeping with men and how the energy, it literally takes from you, now it's like
vice versa.
It's this place where I just want to always, and this is the truth. We have discussed this, that it's like we want to continue our relationship to be always in the highest vibrational place at all times. So, and starting off in a strong foundation like that. And so at the moment, what it comes down to is I live on my client's land. I don't have a space for him to live with me. And he lives in his uncle's living room right now.
Yep.
And so we don't have space to really like open up those chakras and be, not
there in that space.
Yeah. And so it's kind of we're just giving it to God. And when it finally all comes to, which we do plan to elope as soon as possible.
Yeah. Within a few weeks.
We're going to be eloping. And
I've been predicting this on my channel.
I know.
Together and eloping and then getting married later and all of this. This is just so cool. Yes.
Everything, the video that you sent us, that resonated so well. We were sitting in the library and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so yes, you are very talented.
And all of the things I've been watching for you for the last year. No, you are, Amy. I mean, I don't know if you remember me, but I did call in back in November or September last year, maybe. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. October. By October, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over this. And I called in and I called into your show. And when did you start coming up here? I never asked this part.
I started.
Was it like November?
My uncle has been here for 5 years.
No, like just maybe this year, like this last time. November, right?
Yeah, I started. I had a breakup with my last.
In November.
Correct.
I have to just hear this timing.
Okay,
This
sorry.
is going to lead up. Okay. So you said to me that my divine masculine would be coming in around November, and I didn't meet him yet, but he did start coming to this town.
Yeah.
In November.
Wow.
And
cool.
We then obviously met. It was
a few weeks later.
Or a few months later. But after November, it was December 28th was our first date.
Okay. So, yeah. We have it all marked down.
I have it all over. But the thing is it's like you predicted him being on his own journey and coming in. Anyway, I've been following you and everything you say. And all,
It is so cool.
all these other readers, very interesting. I don't know. I'm like I'm so impressed with this journey.
Yeah. I would have to say just thank God.
It's a God thing.
God is,
And that's all you
good.
can do. It's like full sweet surrender,
Yes.
and then trust.
Trust.
Well,
Trust.
have either of you felt like running? It was so intense. Did you hold the space like while you wanted to run?
Yesterday. I had a moment yesterday, Amy.
But we worked through
it immediately because
Yeah.
that was actually a thing we've done from the get-go. Is we say we want to continually always be in that flow that we have both had beforehand, so we can't suppress anything. So we've chosen to speak our truths instead of
Good.
suppressing them. And yesterday it hit me. It hit me. It hit the wild side of Naomi.
Oh,
And
boy.
I was like, this isn't the energy I used. It was like as though I have been, that lioness in the jungle for a long time, doing my thing and owning it, right? Like just owning it. And then all of a sudden I've been captured. My capture came and got me, and it kind of is like, it felt very constricting for a second yesterday, but then I was able to move through it because I was able to speak to him. And then also we've noticed that because we want to spend like every minute of every day together, but space is
Very
so
nice.
Necessary
Yes.
for us to be able to have sink in. So he, luckily, divine timing, just needed to go to the bathroom, and we had stopped at this Barnes and Noble, and it gave me that moment to calm, like to set, ground. And I called my best friend, because she's hearing about all this just via text. We play telephone tag. She lives in another state. But she immediately just says to me the exact words I need to hear. And she's just like, Naomi, you know what you're doing. Of anybody in this world who knows themselves, it's you. You know yourself.
And may I just say one thing? One of the most interesting things is now we're actually sitting in the home of the individual that kept her on the path. And
Yes.
she's not here right now, or else we'd introduce her. But
Cool.
Yes.
she's a great tarot.
She's a tarot reader.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so we're in her home right now.
Wow.
Doing this interview. So
That's
it's
awesome.
She did keep me on. Every time I had a moment, and I did have a lot of those where I was like, I was handed the harshest realities. And, I moved like over 20 something times since I lived here, and she just kept me, maintaining my centeredness. And this woman helped me stay on this path. She was the one person in this small town that just believed in this for me when I couldn't. Always. She always did. And anyway, it was amazing when she finally gave us a couples reading. You should have seen her face. She was like,
That's awesome. All right. Well, gosh, you guys, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story with us. This is awesome.
of course, you're welcome. Thank you.
thank you, Amy. Any more questions?
Good luck with everything. This is keep me posted.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yes.
very cool.
Okay.
Beautiful night. And I'll let you know
All right. Thank you.
when this goes out. And thank you everybody for watching and listening. And yay.
Yay.
It works. Keep working hard
Yes.
and staying grounded.
Never give up and always surrender.
Yeah. Yay. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
This is where we need that Ghostbuster song. Well, okay. All right, let's see if they come back here. Well, it looks like their computer died. But good luck to them on their new endeavor. And that should go well. That should go really well. Anything that twin flames do together goes well. So ultimately. So, wow. Thank you, Taylor and Naomi, for sharing your lives with us. And they're a good example of how twins, you know, they figure it out. They work as a team. They're cooperative with one another. They collaborate. They have all these incredible ways that they mirror each other, and they, you know, they, well, and you're back.